Welcome to A Chapter a Day. Support our channel and subscribe today. You were never meant to live a limited life. And yet, if you look closely, most people don't live limited lives because of a lack of opportunity. They live limited lives because of invisible boundaries they stopped questioning. Here's the truth most people never fully understand. Wealth is what you accumulate. Abundance is who you become. And the difference between the two quietly shapes every decision you make. You can have wealth without peace. You can have success without fulfillment. You can achieve everything you thought you wanted and still feel like something is missing. But abundance? Abundance changes the entire experience of your life. It changes how you think, how you see opportunities, how you respond to fear, how you show up when things don't go your way. And here's something even more powerful. Abundance is not something you wait for. It's something you build from the inside out. This is where everything begins to change. Because the moment you stop chasing wealth and start building abundance, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. Chapter 1. Stop chasing wealth, start defining abundance. You've probably heard this idea before. Work hard, earn more, build wealth. And at some level, that makes sense. Because money does solve problems. It creates options. It removes certain pressures. But here's something most people don't stop to examine. What happens when you reach the number you thought would finally make you feel complete, and nothing changes inside you? That's where this conversation begins. Because most people are not actually chasing wealth. They are chasing a feeling they believe wealth will give them. Freedom, security, respect, peace. But instead of defining those experiences clearly, they attach them to numbers. And this is where the loop begins. You tell yourself, when I make this much, then I'll relax. When I reach this level, then I'll feel successful. When I achieve this milestone, then I'll finally feel like I've made it. But then something subtle happens. You get closer. You even arrive. And the feeling doesn't match the expectation. So the mind does what it has been trained to do. It moves the target. And now enough becomes something else. This is why so many people live in a constant state of almost satisfied, almost fulfilled, almost at peace, but never quite there. If you don't define abundance, you will default to chasing metrics. Pause for a moment and really think about that. Because metrics are endless. There is always more money to make. There is always another level to reach. There is always someone ahead of you. So if your sense of fulfillment is tied only to external measurement, you are playing a game that never actually ends. Now here's where it gets interesting. You've likely seen this pattern in the real world. Someone who has everything on paper. The income, the house, the lifestyle. And yet, when you look a little closer, they are exhausted, disconnected, restless, not because they failed, but because they succeeded without ever defining what success was supposed to feel like. And maybe, if you're honest, you've experienced a version of this yourself. You reach something you once wanted, and instead of feeling fulfilled, your mind immediately asks, "What's next?" Not out of inspiration, but out of discomfort, because stillness feels unfamiliar. This is where we introduce something powerful, something most people never consciously practice. The mental mirror technique. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve next?" you ask a different question. What does enough actually feel like for me? Not intellectually, experientially. Think about that for a moment. If you removed all comparison, If you removed all external pressure, if you removed the invisible scoreboard you've been measuring yourself against, what would a full life feel like? Would it feel calm? Would it feel spacious? Would it feel connected? Would it feel meaningful? Because here's the truth. Most people have never defined abundance for themselves. They've only inherited definitions from the world around them. And inherited definitions create borrowed goals. Let's go one layer deeper. Imagine two people. Both earn the same amount of money. Both have access to the same opportunities. But one of them feels constantly behind, constantly pressured, constantly like they are not doing enough, while the other feels grounded, clear, intentional, same external reality, completely different internal experience. So what's the difference? It's not their resources. It's their definition. One is chasing wealth as a moving target. The other is living within a defined experience of abundance. Here's a subtle realization that changes everything. Wealth is external. Abundance is internal. Wealth is measured. Abundance is experienced. Wealth can increase, while your sense of fulfillment decreases. But abundance, when it's clearly defined, creates stability regardless of circumstance. And this is where your power begins. Pause for a moment and reflect on this. How many of your current goals are actually yours? And how many were shaped by what you thought you were supposed to want? Because if you're chasing something you never defined, you can reach it and still feel lost. That's not failure. That's misalignment. Now here's the shift. Instead of building your life around accumulation, you begin building it around alignment. Alignment with how you want to feel. Alignment with how you want to live. Alignment with who you want to be. And this changes the entire structure of your decisions. Because now, success is not just about achieving more. It's about experiencing more of what actually matters. So let's make this practical. Abundance is not one-dimensional. It's not just financial. It exists across multiple layers of your life. Your emotional state, your mental clarity, your relationships, your sense of time, your sense of meaning, and yes, your financial reality. But when one grows at the expense of all the others, that's not abundance. That's imbalance disguised as success. If you don't define abundance, you will default to chasing metrics. Let that repeat in your mind, because repetition builds awareness, and awareness breaks patterns. Here's your first shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "How do I earn more?" start asking, "How do I experience more?" More presence, more clarity, more connection, more intention. Because when you expand your internal experience, your external decisions begin to change naturally. And this leads to something most people overlook. When you define abundance clearly, you stop overvaluing things that don't actually add to your life. You stop saying yes to things that drain you. You stop chasing validation that doesn't fulfill you. You stop building a life that looks impressive, but feels empty. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever achieved something and immediately felt the pressure to achieve the next thing? That's not ambition. That's conditioning. And once you see it, you start to question it. Now here's the deeper layer most people miss. The reason undefined goals feel exhausting is because they never resolve. They don't have an emotional endpoint. But when you define abundance, you create internal completion. Not permanent completion, but moments of enoughness. Moments where you can say, "This matters. This counts. This is meaningful." And those moments change how you experience your life. This is where the transformation begins. Not when you earn more, not when you achieve more, but when you become aware of what you're actually building toward. Because clarity removes unnecessary struggle. Pause again and ask yourself, if nothing in your external life changed, but your internal definition of abundance became clear, how differently would you feel tomorrow? That question alone has the power to shift your entire direction. Because now, instead of chasing something vague, you begin moving towards something intentional. And here's the key realization. You don't wait to feel abundant. You define it, and then you practice it. In how you think, in how you choose, in how you respond. Because abundance is not an outcome. It's a way of operating. So as we move forward, everything begins to build on this foundation. Because once you define abundance, a new question naturally emerges. If abundance is an internal experience, then what determines whether you actually live it? And the answer to that question is not your circumstances. It's your identity. You've just seen why chasing wealth without defining abundance creates an endless loop. Now we go deeper into the mechanism that silently controls your results. Because defining abundance is only the first step. Living it depends on who you believe you are. Chapter 2. Your identity determines your reality. There's something subtle happening in your life right now. Something so consistent, so automatic, that most people never question it. Every decision you make, every opportunity you take or avoid, every action you delay or follow through on, is being filtered through a single, powerful lens. Your identity. Not the identity you talk about. Not the one you post about. Not even the one you aspire to. But the one you quietly believe is true. And here's where it becomes powerful. Your life does not rise to your goals. It aligns with your identity. Let that settle for a moment. Because most people spend years trying to change their results, without ever examining the identity producing those results. They focus on effort. They focus on strategy. They focus on doing more. But they ignore the internal blueprint guiding all of it. Your life reflects the identity you protect. And whether you realize it or not, you are always protecting an identity. Even when it limits you. Even when it frustrates you. Even when part of you knows you're capable of more. Here's something strange about how the mind works. It doesn't prioritize growth. It prioritizes consistency. Consistency with who it believes you are. So if your identity says, "I'm someone who struggles with follow-through," your mind will subtly guide your behavior to confirm that. If your identity says, "I'm not ready yet," you'll find reasons to wait. If your identity says, "I'm not that type of person," opportunities will feel misaligned, even when they are right in front of you. And this is where most people get stuck. Because they think they need more motivation. But what they actually need is an identity shift. Let's make this real. Imagine two people. Same environment. Same opportunity. Same potential outcome. One of them looks at the opportunity and thinks, "This could change things. I'll figure it out as I go." The other looks at the exact same situation and thinks, "I don't know if I'm ready. What if I mess this up?" Same opportunity, different decision. Now here's the key question. Was the difference in their capability? Or was it in their identity? Because capability can be developed. Skills can be learned. Knowledge can be acquired. But identity determines whether you even begin. Pause for a moment and think about this. How many opportunities have you hesitated on? Not because you couldn't handle them, but because they didn't match how you saw yourself? This is the identity upgrade loop. Your identity shapes your actions. Your actions create results. Your results reinforce your identity. And the cycle repeats. If your identity stays the same, your results will tend to stay within the same range. Even if you try harder, even if you want more, even if you know better. This is why some people make progress quickly, while others feel like they're constantly starting over. It's not always about effort. It's about alignment. Your results don't come from effort alone. They come from identity alignment. Repeat that to yourself, because this is one of those ideas that changes how you see everything. Effort without identity alignment feels exhausting. You push yourself. You force action. You try to stay consistent, but it feels like you're going against something. That something is your current identity. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine taking action that feels natural. Decisions that feel obvious. Consistency that doesn't require constant struggle. That's what happens when your identity and your actions are aligned. Here's where it becomes even more interesting. Your identity is not fixed, but it feels fixed because it's familiar. And the mind protects familiarity. So when you start stepping into something new, when you begin acting in ways that don't match your old identity, you may feel resistance, doubt, hesitation, uncertainty, not because you're incapable, but because you're unfamiliar. And the mind interprets unfamiliar as unsafe. This is why growth often feels uncomfortable, even when it's exactly what you want. Because you're not just changing your actions. You're changing who you believe you are. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever done something new? Something slightly outside your normal behavior, and felt a strange internal tension? Almost like you were stepping out of character? That feeling is the edge of identity change. Most people interpret that feeling as a signal to stop. But it's actually a signal that something is expanding. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, how do I get better results? Start asking, who do I need to become to create those results naturally? Because when you become the type of person who takes certain actions, those actions stop feeling forced. They become part of your baseline. Let's go deeper. There are two identities operating in your life. The current identity you're familiar with, and the next identity you're capable of stepping into. The gap between them is where your growth exists. And every day, in small, subtle ways, you choose which identity to reinforce. When you hesitate, you reinforce the current identity. When you act despite hesitation, you begin strengthening the next one. This is not about massive change. It's about small, repeated alignment. Your results don't come from effort alone. They come from identity alignment. Let it repeat again. Because repetition creates recognition. Now here's something even deeper. Most people don't consciously choose their identity. They inherit it. From past experiences. From failures. From labels. From other people's opinions. And over time, those inputs become beliefs. And those beliefs become identity. But here's the truth most people never fully realize. Just because an identity was formed, doesn't mean it has to be maintained. You can update it. You can expand it. You can redefine it. But only if you become aware of it. Pause again and reflect. What is one belief about yourself that you've been treating as permanent, that might actually be outdated? That question alone can begin to loosen the grip of an old identity. Because awareness creates separation. And once you can see a pattern, you're no longer fully controlled by it. Now here's the practical shift. You don't wait for a new identity to feel natural. You practice it before it feels automatic. You make decisions from it. You take actions aligned with it. You reinforce it through behavior. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, but over time, familiarity shifts, and what once felt uncomfortable becomes your new normal. That's how identity evolves, not in a single moment, but through repeated alignment. And this is where everything connects back to abundance, because abundance is not something you occasionally experience. It's something your identity allows consistently. If your identity is rooted in scarcity, you will interpret life through limitation, even when opportunities exist. If your identity is rooted in abundance, you will see possibilities others overlook, even in uncertain situations. So the question is no longer just, what do I want? The deeper question becomes, who am I being when I pursue it? Because that determines everything. Your life reflects the identity you protect. And the moment you start protecting a new identity, your reality begins to shift. Not all at once, but in patterns, in decisions, in reactions, in opportunities you finally say yes to. And those small shifts compound over time, until one day, your life looks different. Not because you chased something harder, but because you became someone different. And once you understand that, you begin to see something even more powerful. Your identity is not just shaping your future. It's been shaping your past patterns all along. You've just seen how your identity quietly determines your decisions and your results. But there's another layer most people never examine. Because identity doesn't just influence your future. It's been running patterns in your life for years. Patterns you've repeated without always realizing it. And once you see those patterns clearly, you gain the power to break them. Chapter 3: Break the invisible patterns running your life. There's a moment that happens in almost everyone's life. But most people don't recognize it when it's happening. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It sounds like this. Why does this keep happening to me? Different situation, different people, different timing, but the same outcome, the same hesitation, the same delay, the same internal conflict. At first, it feels like coincidence, but over time, it starts to feel like a pattern, because it is. And here's the deeper truth. Most people are not living random lives. They are living repeated ones. Not in the obvious sense, but in the subtle cycles that quietly shape their decisions. Procrastination that shows up right before progress. Self-doubt that appears right before opportunity. Hesitation that interrupts momentum just as things begin to move forward. These are not isolated moments. They are patterns. And patterns, when left unexamined, become predictable. This is what we call the pattern recognition trigger. The moment you stop seeing your behavior as random and start recognizing it as repeated. Because once you see the pattern, you can no longer pretend it's just circumstance. Pause for a moment and think about this. What is one pattern you've repeated for years? Take your time with that question. Maybe it's starting something, but not finishing it. Maybe it's getting close to an opportunity, then pulling back. Maybe it's overthinking decisions until the moment passes. Maybe it's telling yourself, I'll do it later. And later never quite arrives. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people think these patterns are personality traits. I'm just someone who procrastinates. I'm just not confident. I've always been this way. But that's not entirely true, because patterns are not identity. They are conditioned responses. And conditioned responses can be changed. But first, they have to be understood. Here's something most people don't realize. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you consistent. Consistent with what? With what's familiar. Even if what's familiar is uncomfortable. This is one of the most important psychological truths you can understand. The brain prefers familiar discomfort over unfamiliar growth. Let that settle, because it explains something that may have confused you for years. Why you stay in situations that don't fully serve you. Why you delay things that could improve your life. Why you hesitate, even when you know what to do. It's not because you don't want better. It's because better is unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels uncertain. So the brain does something very subtle. It creates resistance. Not to stop you completely, but just enough to keep you within the boundaries of what you already know. This is why patterns repeat. Not because you're incapable of change, but because your system is optimized for familiarity. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever noticed how certain behaviors show up at very specific times? Right before you try something new, suddenly you feel tired. Right before you take action, suddenly you start overthinking. Right before you commit, suddenly you feel uncertain. That's not random. That's a pattern activating. And the more consistently you respond to it in the same way, the stronger it becomes. Because every time you repeat a behavior, you reinforce the loop. Here's how the loop works. Trigger, reaction, reinforcement. Something triggers the pattern. You respond in a familiar way, and the brain records that as the correct response. Over time, this becomes automatic. So automatic that you don't even question it. But the moment you recognize it, something shifts. Because awareness interrupts automation. Pause again and reflect. The next time you hesitate, the next time you delay, the next time you feel that familiar internal resistance, instead of reacting immediately, just notice it. Not to fix it, not to judge it, just to see it. Because the moment you can see a pattern, you create space between you and it. And in that space, choice becomes possible. This is where most people miss the opportunity. They try to eliminate patterns, but the real power is in observing them. Because when you observe without immediately reacting, you weaken the loop. Let's go deeper. There are patterns in your behavior and patterns in your thinking. Behavior patterns are visible. Procrastination, avoidance, inconsistency. But thinking patterns are quieter. The assumptions you make, the stories you tell yourself, the interpretations you default to. I'm not ready. This probably won't work. I'll try later. These thoughts feel natural, but they are often rehearsed, repeated so many times, that they feel like truth. But they are not truth. They are patterns. And once you begin to recognize them, you start to realize something powerful. You are not your patterns. You are the one observing them. That shift alone creates freedom. Because now, instead of being controlled by repetition, you can begin creating intention. Here's a subtle but powerful question. What if the biggest limitations in your life are not external obstacles, but internal patterns you never questioned? Sit with that for a moment. Because if that's true, then change doesn't start with doing more. It starts with seeing more. Seeing clearly. Seeing honestly. Seeing consistently. And as you begin to see your patterns, you also begin to notice something else. They are predictable. The same thoughts, the same reactions, the same outcomes, which means they can be interrupted. Not perfectly, not instantly, but gradually. Because every time you choose a different response, you begin rewriting the loop. Every time you act instead of delay, you weaken procrastination. Every time you move forward despite doubt, you loosen its grip. Every time you stay present instead of escaping, you shift your baseline. This is how patterns break. Not through force, but through awareness, followed by aligned action. And here's where it connects back to everything we've been building. Patterns reinforce identity. Identity reinforces patterns. They work together, quietly, consistently. So if you want to change your identity, you must become aware of the patterns supporting it. And if you want to experience abundance, you must stop repeating patterns rooted in limitation. Because abundance is not just about what you create. It's about what you stop repeating. Think about this one more time. What is one pattern in your life that no longer serves the person you are becoming? That question is where change begins. Because the moment you decide that a pattern no longer belongs in your life, you stop unconsciously protecting it. And when you stop protecting it, you begin replacing it. Not all at once, but moment by moment, decision by decision, until one day, the pattern that once controlled you feels unfamiliar, and the new behavior feels natural. That's transformation. Not dramatic, not instant, but consistent. And as you begin breaking patterns, you uncover something even deeper. Those patterns didn't just exist on their own. They were supported by something beneath them. A belief system, a mental framework, a way your mind has been trying to protect you. This entire time, you've started to see the patterns that have been quietly repeating in your life, and how awareness begins to break them. But those patterns don't exist in isolation. They are supported by something deeper, something built into the way your mind operates. Because your mind is not trying to hold you back. It's trying to protect who you've been. And once you understand that, you stop fighting yourself and start understanding yourself. Chapter 4. Your mind protects who you were, not who you can become. There's a belief that quietly shapes how most people understand their struggles. It sounds logical. It feels accurate. And it goes something like this. If I'm resisting something, it must be because it's difficult. If I'm hesitating, it must mean I'm not ready. If I'm procrastinating, it must mean I lack discipline. But what if that's not the full story? What if the resistance you feel has less to do with difficulty and more to do with identity? Because here's a perspective most people never consider. Your brain doesn't resist success because it's hard. It resists success when it conflicts with who you believe you are. Let that settle. This is the reframing shock moment. The realization that what you've been calling hesitation might actually be protection. Not protection of your potential, but protection of your current identity. And once you see this, a lot of your past behavior starts to make sense. Think about a time when you had a real opportunity, something meaningful, something that could have moved your life forward. And instead of stepping into it fully, you delayed. You overthought. You told yourself you'd come back to it later. On the surface, it looked like procrastination. But underneath, something else was happening. Because stepping into that opportunity would have required you to see yourself differently, to act differently, to show up differently. to become someone new. And that's where the resistance came from. The mind protects familiarity, not possibility. Repeat that slowly. Because possibility is uncertain. Possibility is undefined. Possibility requires expansion. But familiarity is predictable. Familiarity is known. Familiarity keeps your identity stable. So even when possibility is better, the mind often chooses familiarity. This is why people stay in situations that no longer serve them. Not because they don't want more, but because what they have matches who they believe they are. Now let's take this one layer deeper. There's a form of resistance that almost no one talks about. Because it doesn't look like fear. It looks like delay. It shows up as, "I'll start tomorrow. I just need a little more time. I want to make sure I do it right." And it feels reasonable. It feels responsible. But often, it's something else entirely. It's fear of success, disguised as procrastination. That may sound counterintuitive at first, because most people think they're afraid of failure. But here's something worth considering. Failure keeps your identity intact. If you try something and fail, you can say, "See? That's who I am." And your identity remains consistent. But success? Success creates pressure. Pressure to maintain it. Pressure to grow into it. Pressure to become the version of yourself that can sustain it. And that requires change. So the mind does something subtle. It delays the very thing that could create that change. Not because it doesn't want success, but because it's not yet aligned with the identity that success requires. Pause for a moment and think about this. Have you ever delayed something that you knew could improve your life? Not because you didn't care about it, but because stepping into it felt unfamiliar? That unfamiliarity is where identity expansion begins. But to the mind, it feels like risk. So instead of moving forward, you stay where you are. Not consciously, but automatically. And this is where compassion becomes important. Because your mind is not working against you. It's working for you. It's trying to keep you safe. The problem is, it's using an outdated definition of safety. It defines safety as, stay consistent with who you've been. Even if who you've been is no longer who you want to be. So the goal is not to fight your mind. It's to understand it. Because when you understand the mechanism, you stop mislabeling your experience. You stop saying, "I'm lazy," and start asking, what part of my identity is being protected right now? You stop saying, "I'm not ready," and start asking, what version of myself would feel ready? That shift changes everything. Because now, you're not trying to force behavior. You're exploring identity. And identity is where real change happens. The mind protects familiarity, not possibility. Let it repeat again. Because every time you feel resistance, this principle is active. Not just in big decisions, but in small ones too. When you speak up instead of staying silent. When you act instead of delaying. When you choose growth over comfort. Each of these moments is an identity negotiation. Will you reinforce who you've been? Or will you step toward who you can become? And here's the key insight. You don't eliminate resistance. You move with it. Because resistance is not a stop sign. It's a signal. A signal that you're approaching the edge of your current identity. And the edge is where expansion happens. Most people turn back at that edge. But the ones who grow learn to recognize it. They feel the hesitation and move anyway. Not because they are fearless, but because they understand what the feeling means. It doesn't mean stop. It means this is new. And new is necessary. Think about this for a moment. What if the moments you've been avoiding are not signs that you're not ready, but signals that you're ready to expand? That perspective alone can change how you respond to resistance. Because now, instead of retreating, you lean in, not recklessly, but intentionally. You take one step, then another, and with each step, you send a new signal to your mind. This is who I am becoming. Over time, familiarity shifts. What once felt uncomfortable becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes expected. And the identity that once felt out of reach becomes your baseline. That's how transformation actually happens. Not in one big moment, but in repeated choices, at the edge of who you've been. And as you begin to understand this, you start to see something even more powerful. Your mind isn't just protecting your past, it's shaping your experience of your present. Which means, if you want to live abundantly, you must train your mind to support expansion, not just familiarity, because abundance requires growth, and growth requires stepping beyond what's known. So the question becomes, can you recognize when your mind is protecting the past and consciously choose the future? Because that moment is where your life begins to shift. The mind protects familiarity, not possibility. And the moment you stop letting familiarity define your choices, possibility begins to open. Not all at once, but gradually, until one day, what once felt unfamiliar feels like who you've always been. And that's when abundance stops feeling like something distant and starts feeling like something natural. But there's still one more layer to understand. Because even when you begin expanding your identity, even when you start moving beyond old patterns, there's a dimension most people overlook. They focus on growth in one area, while neglecting the others, and that creates imbalance. Because true abundance is not partial, it's holistic. You've begun to understand how your mind protects your past, and how stepping into possibility requires identity expansion. But growth in one area alone does not create a full experience of abundance, because abundance is not just about progress. It's about balance. It's about how every part of your life connects and supports the whole. Now it's time to expand your perspective even further. Chapter 5. Abundance is a 360-degree experience. Up to this point, you've started to see something clearly. Wealth and abundance are not the same. One can exist without the other. And now, we expand that understanding even further. Because even when people begin shifting their mindset, even when they start redefining success, there's a mistake that still quietly happens. They grow in one area, while neglecting the rest. And at first, it feels like progress. Because improvement is visible. Results are measurable. Momentum is real. But over time, something begins to feel off. Because growth that is not balanced creates pressure. Pressure on your time. Pressure on your energy. Pressure on your relationships. And eventually, what once felt like progress starts to feel like strain. This is where we introduce a deeper truth. Abundance is not one-dimensional. It is a 360-degree experience. Let that expand in your mind. Because most people have been conditioned to measure success in a single direction. Income, status, achievement. But abundance is not just about what you build externally. It's about how your entire life feels internally. And that includes something most people overlook: your time, your energy, your peace, your relationships. Because what good is financial growth if it comes with constant exhaustion? What good is success if you have no time to experience it? What good is achievement if you feel disconnected while living it? Pause for a moment and think about this. Have you ever seen someone who looks successful on the outside, but feels overwhelmed on the inside? Maybe they have the income, the lifestyle, the recognition, but they are always rushing, always thinking about the next thing, always feeling like they can't slow down. Now compare that to someone else. Maybe they don't have the same level of external success, but they have clarity, they have presence, they have meaningful relationships, they have space to think, to breathe, to live. Which one feels closer to abundance? Because abundance is not just about accumulation. It's about alignment across your life. This is where we move from a narrow definition to a holistic one. Abundance means you have the time to experience your life. You have the energy to engage with it. You have the relationships that support it. And yes, you have the financial resources to sustain it. But none of these exist in isolation. They are connected. If one area grows at the expense of the others, the system becomes unstable. And over time, that instability shows up as stress, burnout, disconnection. This is why some people reach high levels of success and still feel like something is missing, because they optimized for one dimension instead of designing for the whole. Abundance is a 360-degree experience. Let it repeat, because repetition creates awareness, and awareness creates choice. Now let's make this practical. There are 4 primary dimensions of abundance. The first is emotional. How you feel on a daily basis. Your sense of peace. Your sense of fulfillment. Your ability to experience joy without needing external validation. The second is mental. Your clarity. Your focus. Your ability to think intentionally instead of reactively. The third is relational. The quality of your connections. The people you share your life with. The conversations you have. The support you give and receive. And the fourth is financial. Your ability to create resources. To support your lifestyle. To provide stability. To create options. Most people focus almost entirely on the fourth. But true abundance requires all 4. Because if your financial life grows, but your emotional life suffers, that's not expansion. That's imbalance. If your career advances, but your relationships weaken, that's not success. That's trade-off. If your achievements increase, but your mental clarity decreases, that's not growth. That's overload. Think about this for a moment. Which of these 4 areas have you been prioritizing the most? And which one have you been quietly neglecting? That awareness is where realignment begins. Because once you see the imbalance, you can start adjusting it. Not by abandoning progress, but by expanding your definition of it. So instead of asking, "How do I grow faster?" you begin asking, "How do I grow fully? How do I create success that I can actually experience? How do I build a life that feels as good as it looks?" Because that's the difference. A life that looks successful can still feel empty, but a life that feels abundant creates a different kind of energy. You move differently. You think differently. You decide differently. Because now, you're not just optimizing for outcomes. You're optimizing for experience. And experience is what your life is made of. Pause again and reflect. If you continue on your current path, what will your life feel like, not just look like? That question brings everything into perspective, because it shifts your focus from appearance to reality. Now here's something even deeper. When you begin building a 360-degree life, you start making different trade-offs. You begin protecting your time. Instead of giving it away unconsciously, you begin valuing your energy. Instead of constantly depleting it, you begin investing in relationships instead of postponing connection. And something interesting happens. Your financial decisions improve too, because clarity in one area supports clarity in others. This is the compounding effect of balance. Each dimension strengthens the whole, and over time, your life becomes more stable, more intentional, more aligned. That's what abundance actually feels like. Not constant excitement, not endless achievement, but a steady sense of, I have what I need, and I'm building something meaningful. And that feeling is not dependent on a single number. It's created by the way your life is structured. Abundance is a 360-degree experience. Let it settle one more time, because this idea changes how you measure everything. Now here's the key insight that connects this chapter to everything before it. Your identity determines your reality. Your patterns reinforce your identity. Your mind protects familiarity. And now, your definition of abundance determines what you prioritize. Which means, if your definition is incomplete, your life will be imbalanced. But when your definition expands, your life begins to align. And alignment is where sustainable growth happens. Not forced, not rushed, but integrated. So as you move forward, you're no longer just asking, how do I succeed? You're asking, how do I live fully while I succeed? Because that question creates a completely different path. And as you begin walking that path, you start to realize something important. Even with a clear definition, even with a balanced approach, there's still one factor that determines whether you move forward. Action. Not perfect action. Not confident action, but consistent action. Because without action, even the clearest vision remains potential. And this is where most people hesitate. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel certain. But what if those feelings are not the starting point? What if they are the result? You've expanded your understanding of abundance into a full, balanced experience. One that includes every dimension of your life. But even the clearest definition means nothing without movement. Because growth does not begin with certainty. It begins with action. And what most people misunderstand is when confidence actually appears. Now we step into one of the most important shifts of all. Chapter 6. Confidence comes after action, not before. There is a moment that quietly stops more progress than almost anything else. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't feel extreme. In fact, it often feels reasonable. It sounds like this. I just need a little more confidence. I want to feel ready before I start. I'll take action when I'm sure this will work. And on the surface, that makes sense. Because confidence feels important. It feels like the foundation. It feels like the thing you need before you begin. But here's the truth most people never fully realize. Confidence is not the starting point. It's the result. Let that settle. Because this one misunderstanding keeps people waiting for something that only comes after movement. And while they wait, time passes, opportunities shift, momentum never begins. Not because they lack potential, but because they are waiting for a feeling that can only be created through action. This is one of the most important counterintuitive insights you can understand. You do not act because you feel confident. You feel confident because you acted. But the mind reverses this. It tells you, feel better first, then move. And so you wait. You wait for clarity. You wait for certainty. You wait for the right moment. But the right moment is often created by movement itself. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you delayed something? Not because you didn't know what to do, but because you didn't feel ready doing it? That feeling has stopped more progress than failure ever has. Because at least failure requires action. Waiting requires nothing. And nothing produces nothing. This is where we shift the model completely. Instead of asking, how do I feel more confident? You begin asking, what small action can I take without confidence? Because action is the beginning of everything. Action creates evidence. Evidence builds belief. Repeat that slowly, because this is the actual sequence. You take an action. It may feel uncertain. It may feel imperfect. But you do it anyway. Then something happens. You survive it. Maybe you even succeed in small ways. And now, you have evidence. Not imagined evidence. Not theoretical evidence. Real, lived evidence. I did that. I handled that. I moved forward. And that evidence begins to shift your belief. Not instantly, but gradually. Because belief is not built through thinking. It's built through experience. And experience requires action. Action creates evidence. Evidence builds belief. Let it repeat again. Now here's where most people get stuck. They think action has to be big. They think it has to be perfect. They think it has to guarantee results. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence doesn't come from one massive leap. It comes from many small steps. Each step reinforcing the next. Each action telling your mind, this is safe. This is possible. This is who I am becoming. And over time, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. And when something becomes familiar, it no longer feels intimidating. This is how confidence is built. Not before action, but because of it. Let's make this real. Imagine someone who wants to speak in front of others. They tell themselves, I'll do it when I feel confident. So they wait. And while they wait, nothing changes. Now imagine a different approach. They speak once. Maybe it's awkward. Maybe it's imperfect. But they do it. Now they have evidence. I didn't fall apart. I got through it. So they do it again. And again. And with each repetition, their belief shifts. Not because they told themselves to believe, but because they experienced something different. That's the difference. Confidence is earned through exposure, not imagined through thought. And this applies to every area of life. Taking opportunities, starting something new, making decisions, stepping into growth. The pattern is the same. Action first, confidence later. But here's where it connects back to everything we've been building. Your identity shapes your actions. Your patterns reinforce your identity. Your mind protects familiarity. So when you take action without confidence, you are doing more than just progressing. You are updating your identity. Because now, you are becoming someone who acts even when uncertain. And that identity creates different results, which creates new evidence, which builds stronger belief, which reinforces the identity. This is the loop, and once it starts, momentum builds, but it only starts with action. Pause for a moment and reflect. What is one thing you've been waiting to feel ready for? Now ask yourself, what is the smallest step you could take without feeling ready? Not the perfect step, not the complete plan, just the next step, because that step is where confidence begins. Now here's something even deeper. The longer you wait, the more intimidating the action becomes. Because in your mind, it grows. It becomes bigger than it actually is. More complex, more risky, more overwhelming. But once you act, you see it clearly. And clarity reduces fear. Because now, you're no longer imagining, you're experiencing. And experience grounds you. This is why people often say, "That wasn't as bad as I thought." Because thought amplifies uncertainty. Action reduces it. Action creates evidence. Evidence builds belief. Let it anchor again. Because this is the foundation of confidence. Not motivation, not inspiration, but repeated, aligned action. And as you begin to act, something interesting happens. You stop needing confidence as much. Because you trust yourself. Not because you feel certain, but because you've proven you can handle uncertainty. That's real confidence. Not the absence of fear, but the ability to move with it. And when you reach that point, your behavior changes. You stop waiting. You stop overthinking. You stop delaying. And you start moving consistently. And that consistency creates a new baseline, a new identity, a new way of operating. And that's when abundance begins to accelerate. Because now, you're not just thinking differently, you're acting differently. And action is what turns possibility into reality. But as you begin taking action, you may notice something else. Even when you act, there's still a pull toward what's familiar, a pull toward what feels safe. Because the comfort zone doesn't disappear immediately, it adapts. And understanding that is the next layer of growth. You've seen how confidence is built through action, and how movement creates the belief you've been waiting for. But even as you begin to act, there is still a force that quietly pulls you back. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because your mind is still drawn to what feels familiar. And what most people call comfort is not what they think it is. Now we go deeper into that understanding. Chapter 7. The comfort zone is not comfort, it's familiarity. Most people think the comfort zone is, well, comfortable. They tell themselves, "I like stability. I like knowing what to expect. I feel safe here." And on the surface, that seems reasonable. But here's a quiet truth many never notice. The comfort zone is not comfort. It is familiarity. Let that sink in. Familiarity is not safety. It's repetition. It's predictability. It's the patterns your mind has memorized. And the mind loves familiar patterns. Not because they're good. Not because they serve you. But because they are known. The brain protects predictability. Even if it keeps you stuck. Even if it keeps you unhappy. Even if it keeps you from becoming who you could be. This is where the twist appears. People mistake predictability for comfort. They cling to jobs that drain them. They stay in relationships that don't nurture them. They repeat habits that don't help them grow. And why? Because it feels safe. But it's not really safety. It's familiarity masquerading as comfort. Think about this for a moment. How many decisions in your life have been made to avoid discomfort? You stayed silent instead of speaking up. You waited instead of acting. You followed the familiar instead of exploring the unknown. And each time you chose familiar, your brain quietly rewarded you. Not with fulfillment, not with growth, but with predictability. This is why people often say, "I'm comfortable here," when in reality, they are not comfortable. They are familiar. They are safe in repetition. And repetition is not abundance. Let's explore a real example. Two people sit at similar points in life. Person A has a high-paying job. The work is unfulfilling. The days feel long. Energy is drained. Yet they stay because leaving feels uncertain. Familiar. Predictable. Person B takes risks. They may start small. Maybe a side project. Maybe a shift in career. They experience discomfort initially, but the discomfort is temporary. The growth is lasting. Both had fear. Both had uncertainty. Both had a choice. But the difference was simple. One chose familiarity, the other chose growth. And here's what's fascinating. Comfort is temporary. Familiarity is deceptive. Growth is sustainable. Most people never recognize the difference. And this is where you begin to see a pattern linking back to the lessons we've explored. Your identity shapes your choices. Your mind protects familiarity. And familiarity disguises itself as comfort to keep your current identity intact. So when you feel safe staying in a situation that isn't serving you, ask yourself this one question. Am I choosing comfort or predictability? Because that distinction matters. Predictability may feel safe, but it quietly stops you from evolving. It quietly reinforces the patterns you've been trying to break. It quietly maintains the identity you've outgrown. And here's the powerful insight. You don't need to eliminate fear. You don't need to wait for courage. You simply need to recognize familiarity for what it is. And choose growth anyway. It's in that recognition that transformation begins. Because the moment you step out of the familiar, even a little, even imperfectly, you signal to your mind, I am capable of more than I thought. And with each step beyond familiarity, your confidence grows. Your belief strengthens. Your identity begins to align with the life you truly want. This is why people who take risks consistently outperform those who stay in the safe zone. Not because they are reckless, not because they are fearless, but because they refuse to confuse predictability with comfort. Pause for reflection. Which areas of your life feel comfortable but are actually familiar? Where have you chosen predictability over growth without even realizing it? Acknowledging that is the first act of courage. The second act is action. Even small actions that challenge the familiar reshape your identity. Because identity is reinforced by what you do, not what you think. And this leads naturally to our next lesson. The next layer of transformation. Because even when you understand familiarity, even when you step out of it, the way you make decisions still matters. And decision-making is the bridge between growth and identity. You've learned that the comfort zone is not comfort, it's familiarity. You've seen how predictability can secretly hold you back. You've reflected on the areas in your own life where growth feels uncomfortable. Now, it's time to move from awareness to action. Because every decision you make reinforces the identity you are creating. Chapter 8. Redesign the way you make decisions. By this point, you've started to notice the patterns in your life. You've recognized familiar habits masquerading as comfort. You've understood how identity shapes action. You've seen how action creates confidence. Now, let's take it a step deeper. Because awareness alone is not enough. Clarity without execution is wasted energy. At the heart of transformation is decision-making. Not random decisions. Not reactionary decisions. But intentional, identity-aligned decisions. Here's the truth. Every decision you make reinforces the person you are. Think about that. Even the small ones. Even the ones that feel insignificant. Saying yes when you wanted to say no reinforces someone who puts others before themselves. Avoiding a difficult conversation reinforces someone who tolerates less than they deserve. Skipping that opportunity reinforces someone who prioritizes comfort over growth. Your decisions are not neutral. They are the blueprint of your identity. This is what I call the decision-making identity loop. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. Your actions reinforce that identity, and your reinforced identity influences the next decision. It's a loop, a cycle, a self-reinforcing system. Now, most people make decisions unconsciously. They choose what feels safe. They choose what is familiar. They choose what doesn't challenge the status quo. And over time, those small, seemingly harmless choices add up and quietly define who they are. Let's look at an example. Two people receive the same opportunity. One hesitates. They avoid it. They rationalize that the timing isn't right. Weeks pass. Months pass. Their identity quietly reinforces that they are not someone who takes initiative. The other person feels the fear. They move anyway. They make the choice to act. The outcome may be uncertain. They may fail. But their identity begins to shift. They become someone who takes opportunities. Someone who creates momentum. Someone who grows. Notice the difference? It wasn't about skill. It wasn't about resources. It was about decisions. And the identity those decisions reinforce. Here's the key insight. Your future self is built from your present choices. Every time you choose avoidance, you reinforce an outdated identity. Every time you choose growth, you reinforce your next level self. So the question becomes, how do you design decisions that reinforce the identity you want to embody? And here's a simple, yet powerful coaching tool. Ask yourself, what would my next level identity choose? Not your current self, not your familiar self, but the person you aspire to become. That question shifts your perspective. It forces your mind to evaluate choices not by fear or comfort, but by alignment with growth. And this is subtle, but incredibly powerful. When you make decisions from your next level identity, you start acting in ways that feel unfamiliar at first, uncomfortable at first, even risky at first. But with repetition, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. The uncomfortable becomes natural. The risky becomes routine. And with every aligned decision, your identity begins to evolve. Now, let's break this down further. There are two types of decisions we make in life. Avoidance decisions, the ones made to avoid discomfort, uncertainty, or fear. Growth decisions, the ones made to expand capability, embrace opportunity, and align with your next level self. Avoidance decisions feel safe in the moment. They provide temporary relief, but they slowly reinforce limitation. Growth decisions feel risky. They challenge comfort. They stretch your mind, your skills, and your courage. And here's the paradox. The very actions that feel uncomfortable are the ones that expand your sense of freedom. The very decisions that frighten you are the ones that reshape your identity. So how do you practically redesign your decisions? Step 1. Awareness. Notice every decision, big or small, and the reasoning behind it. Step 2. Pause. Before you act, ask, am I choosing from comfort or from growth? Step 3. Alignment. Ask the next level identity question. What would the person I want to become choose in this moment? Step 4. Action. Even imperfectly, even hesitantly, even with fear. Because action reinforces identity faster than reflection alone. And here's the repetition that matters. Every aligned decision builds your next level self. Every avoidance decision maintains the old version of you. Every choice is a vote for the identity you embody. Now, reflect for a moment. What patterns of avoidance have quietly shaped your identity? Which areas of your life are being reinforced by familiarity rather than growth? And which choices could shift everything, if made intentionally? Because here's the truth. It's not a single decision that transforms your life. It's the accumulation of consistent, identity-aligned choices. And when you master this loop, you begin to move differently. You begin to think differently. You begin to see opportunities that others overlook. You begin to live in alignment with the abundance you've been defining. You've learned how your decisions shape your identity. You've seen the difference between avoidance and growth. You've practiced asking the question, what would my next level identity choose? Now, it's time to take this a step further. Because identity alone is not enough without resilience. Even the most intentional decisions can be challenged by life's pressures, setbacks, and unexpected obstacles. Chapter 9. Abundance requires emotional resilience. By now, you've begun to notice a pattern. You've seen how identity shapes your choices. You've observed how familiarity masquerades as comfort. You've recognized the power of action over waiting. You've redesigned decisions to align with your next level self. But there's a final piece that connects everything. Because even with clarity, action, and intentional decisions, life will challenge you. And here's the truth. Abundance is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about responding differently when difficulty arises. Think about it. The world does not pause when you are uncertain. It does not slow down when fear rises. Challenges come, pressure appears, setbacks happen. And the difference between someone who accumulates wealth and someone who cultivates abundance is not luck. It's not intelligence. It's resilience. Emotional resilience. Abundant thinkers don't avoid pressure. They reinterpret it. Pause for a moment and reflect on that. Pressure is not the enemy. Difficulty is not a signal to stop. Setbacks are not proof of failure. They are feedback. They are information. They are signals pointing you toward growth. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people launching the same project. The first person encounters setbacks. The first rejection hits them hard. They interpret it as proof they are not ready, that they are inadequate, that perhaps success is impossible. The second person encounters setbacks. They feel disappointment, yes, but they interpret the same obstacles differently. They see feedback. They ask, what can I adjust? How can I grow? What does this teach me? The first person feels drained. The second feels energized. The first stagnates. The second accelerates. And here's the repetition we must anchor in your mind. Abundant thinkers don't avoid pressure. They reinterpret it. Now, Emotional resilience is not something you are born with. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, it strengthens with use, with intentional practice, with conscious repetition. It begins with awareness, noticing your reactions when challenges arise. Do you panic? Do you retreat? Do you blame yourself or others? Or do you pause? Do you observe? Do you ask, what is this teaching me? Step 2. Reframing. Every obstacle contains information. Every difficulty contains a lesson. Every failure contains feedback. Step 3. Action. You respond rather than react. You adjust rather than retreat. You learn rather than label. And step 4. Reflection. You reinforce this learning by noticing the shift in your mindset. You say to yourself, I handled that differently. I am capable of more than I realized. Each time you do this, the loop strengthens. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are no longer a victim of external events. You become a creator of your response, which is the truest form of freedom. Now let's connect this to abundance. Abundance is not a number in the bank. It is not a metric of achievement. It is a mindset. And mindset is forged in the crucible of resilience. The more you can reinterpret difficulty, the more pressure becomes opportunity. The more scarcity thoughts shift to abundance thinking, the more your identity aligns with growth. Even when life is messy, even when challenges appear overwhelming, even when the unexpected knocks you off course. That is the essence of abundance. Not avoiding storms, not chasing comfort, not waiting for ideal conditions, but mastering your response to them. Here's a practical reflection for you. Think of a recent setback. Now ask yourself, did you interpret it as failure or as feedback? How would your next level identity respond differently? And remember this truth. Every pressure point is an opportunity to strengthen your emotional resilience. Every difficulty is an invitation to grow. Every setback is a step toward the person who naturally attracts abundance. Because abundance is not accidental. It is intentional. It is cultivated. It is built through consistent, resilient response. So the next time you feel the weight of pressure, pause, observe, reinterpret, act, and anchor this phrase in your mind. Abundant thinkers don't avoid pressure. They reinterpret it. You've learned that abundance is forged through emotional resilience. You've seen how setbacks can teach rather than defeat you. You've practiced interpreting challenges as information, not as obstacles. Now, it's time for the final transformation. Because abundance is not just about surviving difficulty. It's about becoming someone who naturally attracts it. Chapter 10. Become the person who naturally attracts abundance. By now, you've traveled through a journey. You've explored the invisible patterns shaping your life. You've recognized how identity drives your choices. You've seen how comfort disguises itself as safety. You've learned to redesign decisions. You've strengthened resilience to handle life's pressures. All of that has led to this moment. This is the point where abundance stops being about what you do and becomes about who you are. Most people chase abundance. They chase opportunities. They chase promotions, recognition, money, or validation. But here's the quiet truth. Abundance is attracted. It is not pursued. Let that sink in. You don't need to chase opportunities. You don't need to hunt success. You don't need to force alignment. Because the person you become naturally draws them in. Think of it like a magnet. The stronger your identity, the more aligned your thoughts, actions, and energy, the more abundance flows toward you, effortlessly. Consider real-life examples. Some people walk into a room, and opportunities appear before they even speak. Some people share an idea, and the right connections show up. Some people take action without desperation, and success seems to find them. What's the difference? It's identity-first transformation. They don't start with action. They start with being. Who they are defines what they attract. Your behavior, your decisions, your responses, your energy, all begin to reflect a higher version of yourself. And here's the subtle, powerful truth. When you become someone who embodies abundance, you no longer measure your worth by results. You no longer chase outcomes to validate yourself. You no longer live in reaction to life's circumstances. Instead, life aligns with you. Opportunities present themselves naturally. Challenges are navigated with clarity. Relationships deepen organically. And this is where life design enters the equation. Because now, abundance is not accidental. It is intentional. You stop reacting to circumstances. You stop letting fear dictate your choices. You stop chasing outcomes that may never satisfy you. Instead, you design your life from the inside out. Your energy, your identity, your mindset, everything becomes a signal to the world. And the world responds. Let's make this concrete. Imagine someone who embodies this principle. They don't push, plead, or chase. They prepare themselves mentally and emotionally. They show up consistently aligned with their values, vision, and identity. And naturally, doors open. Ideas connect. People resonate. Opportunities arrive. Contrast that with the person who chases. They overextend. They exhaust. They hustle desperately. They measure self-worth externally. And yet, the abundance they seek remains elusive. So the transformation is clear. Shift from doing to being. Shift from reaction to intentional creation. Shift from pursuit to alignment. Your identity is the anchor. Your energy is the magnet. Your mindset is the blueprint. Now, reflect for a moment. Are your actions still chasing what you want? Or are they expressing who you are becoming? This is the final stage of the journey we've been on. Becoming the person who naturally attracts abundance. And here's the repetition that matters. Abundance is attracted. Abundance flows toward identity. Abundance aligns with being, not doing. When you internalize this truth, everything changes. Your choices, your energy, your relationships, your results. You stop reacting to life. You start creating it. And this brings us full circle. Because the difference between wealth and abundance. Wealth can be accumulated externally. Abundance is cultivated internally. Wealth can be taken. Abundance is inherent. Wealth can disappear. Abundance grows endlessly because it is who you are. You've mastered the internal patterns. You've strengthened your identity. You've built resilience. You've learned to align your decisions. You've stepped into a state of being that naturally attracts abundance. Now, it's time to bring it all together. To reflect. To expand. To take a deep breath. And step forward into a life intentionally designed, fully aligned with the person you've become. In closing, at some point, everything you've heard comes down to one decision. Not a decision about what you're going to do next, but a decision about who you are going to be. Because if you've been paying attention, you've probably started to notice something. Your life has never been shaped only by your circumstances. It's been shaped by the patterns you repeated, the beliefs you accepted, the identity you protected. And once you see that, something shifts. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop needing certainty before action. You stop measuring your worth by outcomes alone. And instead, you begin to move differently. You think differently. You choose differently. You show up differently. That's what abundance really is. It's not something you chase. It's something you embody. And when you embody it, opportunities feel different. Challenges feel different. Even uncertainty feels different. Because now, you're not reacting to life. You're creating it. So here's your challenge. The next time you hesitate, the next time you doubt yourself, the next time you feel that familiar pull to stay where you are, pause and ask yourself one simple question. Am I choosing from my current identity or my next one? Because that question will change everything. And the moment you start choosing from your next identity, your life begins to expand in ways you can't fully predict yet. That's the moment abundance begins. And that moment is available to you right now.